What just happened?
The evaluation bar is just turned all black.
What? Will Magnus Carlsen find this?
This is the semi-finals of the 2023 AI Cup played between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepo. After drawing the first game, both players are about to be a part of one of the most insane moments of chess in 2023. My name is David, and this is Blitz Breakdown. So straight out of the opening, we have c5 by Carlsen, the Sicilian defense, and Jan responds with bishop to b5, the canal attack. After castles and retreating the bishop, we have a lot of very standard developmental moves by both players. And as you can see, Carlsen is really trying to take control of the center, especially with this d5 pawn break. Meanwhile, Jan has f4 on the board, followed by g4 and then g5 with the intention of going for Carlsen's king. After Carlsen retreats his knight, we have an exchange of pawns in the center, at which point we have the first meaningful shift in momentum. As Carlsen makes this mistake, he plays knight to c7. As you can see from the evaluation bar, Nepo here with the white pieces is ahead, and I think the reason for that is, as I mentioned before, he has these extended f and g pawns heading towards black's king. He also now has ideas like queen to h5, rook to f3, rook to h3, threatening checkmates on h7, but even more importantly, there are threats on the queen side. After Carlsen played knight to c7, you can actually attack the b6 square because he's cut off the defense that the queen was offering on d8. And now you can play this creative move, knight to c4. And of course, if you take with the black pieces, now you're going to lose your light square bishop, and white is going to have absolute control over the long diagonal and has tempo on black's rook. So you really don't want to take. But now it's not entirely clear how are you going to defend the b6 pawn. And one thing is for sure, Carlsen did not deal with this threat in the best possible way. So Jan does indeed find this creative knight to c4 move, targeting the b6 square, and Carlsen needs to try and defend this pawn, but there is a problem. As you can see here by Carlsen's reaction, he puts his hand up. I think he's thinking, what does that move achieve? I'm not going to take it with a pawn. Why did you put your knight there? I mean, where's it going to go? He seems to have completely missed the fact that his pawn is hanging, which is confirmed by the fact that he plays knight to c6, allowing Jan to capture the pawn for free. And now Carlsen's realizing, oh my goodness, what did I do? Why did I just allow Nepo just to take that pawn for free? And what's worse is now Nepo is attacking the rook on a8, and also there's a triple attack on the d5 pawn. So it seems that Nepo is going to be up 2 pawns. So after Carlsen begrudgingly moves his rook out of the firing line, Nepo is able to initiate an exchange in the center, and he can pick up that extra pawn. But now we get some really interesting insight from the evaluation bar. Quick request, if you're enjoying this, do consider en passanting the subscribe button and under-promote forking the notification bell for future videos. Even though Nepo is up 2 full pawns, he only has a slight edge with the white pieces. Now, why is that? Black seems to have fantastic compensation in the position, specifically the knight on d4 is doing a great job over here. And if you try and chase it away and you play something like bishop to e3, the knight can retreat to f5, and depending on where this bishop is, it can kind of rotate back and forth between these squares. And remember, this bishop is also doing an important job guarding the b2 square. But more importantly, really, is that if we look at this position, black's king is super safe and white's king is not super safe. These pawns were doing a fantastic job at the start of the game guarding the king, and now really this king is a lot more vulnerable than it appears, which creates some mind-bending tactics that we will see in just a little bit. Back into the game, Carlsen improves the position of his dark square bishop, and Nepo tries to put some pressure on Carlsen's outposted knight on d4. After Nepo moves his bishop back to d2, Carlsen initiates an exchange in the center of the board, revealing a discovery on the b2 pawn, leading to a catastrophic blunder by Nepo. So here we have the critical move of the game. Jan plays bishop to c3, attacking the rook and trying to take control of the long diagonal. And it looks so good. It's such a natural move for whites. But in reality, it is catastrophically bad because black has a bone-crushing winning move. Winning on the spot, as in he plays this move and Nepo will resign immediately. So on stream, usually I put on the old Thug Life glasses if I'm about to play a very groovy looking move. And man, this is definitely in that category. We have queen takes g5. What? With check. Insane. And if you take back with the f pawn, then you're getting checkmated basically in a few moves. What a beautiful winning combination. The other option, of course, is just to shuffle your king across to h1, but then knight to g3 check is a brilliancy, and after you take, you're also getting checkmated. Absolutely incredible, amazing tactic. Let's take a look at the Chess24 reaction in the studio.
What?
What just happened?
The evaluation bar is just turned all black.
Wow.
What? What?
Queen
what?
takes g5. He can sacrifice his queen and win on the spot.
Oh, what a
my
move.
God.
Oh my God! Will Magnus Carlsen find this?
Queen takes g5.
We have to
It's
show
incredible.
this. We have to show this, David.
I think
Magnus
we're gonna
is
see
leaning
it.
forward.
We're going to see it. He will play queen takes g5.
It's
That is
forced
a
checkmate.
in 3. That's a checkmate in 3.
Wow.
He's got to win, and there's not even that much to calculate. He doesn't find it.
Oh my God! He missed
Unbelievable.
it.
That is shocking.
Magnus Carlsen missed a checkmate in 3.
Wow.
So back to the game, Carlsen misses queen takes g5, instead he plays knight to e3, and you can see Nepo is just shaking his head in utter disbelief. He can't believe he got away with this, and Carlsen is about to realize his mistake. The hands go up, and now the penny is dropping. He is absolutely fuming that he missed queen takes g5, which would have ended the game on the spot, and he sinks into his chair realizing that he's missed a winning move. Unfortunately, we don't have any audio of the players themselves, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that Carlsen is extremely unhappy with himself just looking at his body language as Jan gets his queen out of the firing line. Here you have to be a little bit careful if you're playing with the black pieces. Of course, there aren't any threats of checkmating anymore. You just have to try and play accurately and hope for a draw, considering that white has an edge. You can't take the rook on f1 with the knight, because if you do that, then white is going to respond by taking the rook on b2. And the knight on f1 will be trapped now. It won't be able to escape, and white will definitely be winning then. That obviously is not Carlsen's plan. Carlsen now realizes he must take the bishop. And after a few accurate moves by both players, let's do a quick material count. So after all of the chaos, both players still have just 5 pawns, but critically, Carlsen is down the exchange, meaning that Nepo has a rook in exchange for one of Carlsen's minor pieces. And under normal circumstances, Nepo with the white pieces should be able to win this game with that material advantage. However, here white has some critical weaknesses in his position that he has to defend, specifically the d3 pawn, and also his king is quite exposed. So it's not entirely clear if white is going to be able to make this material advantage count in terms of winning the game, and that's why the engine seems to be a little bit more neutral in terms of favoring black over white or white over black. Back into the game, Carlsen captures the hanging pawn on d3. The engine doesn't seem to love this move. I wouldn't read too much into that. As far as I can tell, it's a perfectly reasonable move, and I think the engine just needs a little bit of time to catch up. But now Carlsen is up a pawn in compensation for being down the exchange. So in terms of material, things are starting to balance out a little bit. Carlsen offers an exchange of bishops in the center of the board, and Nepo takes control of the e-file while simultaneously attacking the knight. The knight retreats, and now it seems like Nepo is actually able to make a little bit of progress with the white pieces, hoping that he can make this material advantage count, especially with the knight all the way back on f8. But after a few inaccurate moves, specifically this last one, he allows a fork, attacking the king and the c4 pawn at the same time. And now Nepo's material advantage is evaporating. And after both players shuffle their pieces around a little bit longer, ultimately we have draw by threefold repetition to conclude this incredibly fascinating game. Nepo's reaction at the end is pretty funny. He knows that game was an absolute mess and he got away with murder after Carlsen missed queen takes g5, so I'm sure he's very happy with the draw. Carlsen would go on to win the match, and this is what he had to say after it finished.
Magnus, congratulations. That was a crazy one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really poor match, to be fair. Like, in terms of the quality of the chess, I'm sure it was exciting to watch. I think neither of us played particularly well. I'm happy to have pulled through, of course, but yeah, generally a day to forget.
A lot of dramatic moments, and I think you know the one I want to bring up first. Game 2, Magnus. Queen g5, we saw both of you react. What happened in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I blundered 2 pawns. Like, I just didn't see that the pawn on b6 was hanging. I was just thinking, why are you going knight c4? That makes no sense. I'll go knight c6. And my thoughts didn't really go any further. Like, fortunately, I had sort of half reasonable practical compensation, at least there. Yeah, when he played bishop c3, I sort of had the feeling that this move was a little bit wrong. The thing is, I was fairly happy with knight e3. That's why I didn't really look too much further. And it was only like a little bit after I'd made the move, when he was thinking, that I realized what I could have done. I don't know like how it came to me. It just suddenly I just suddenly realized that Queen G5 would have mated him. So yeah, that was insane. Always look for captures and checks, kids.
There you have it from the man himself. Always check for checks, captures, and threats. Good advice. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy this video somewhere around my head. There's one recommended. It's probably going to be the one of Anand waiting for like 3 minutes in a 5-minute game. It is completely nuts. I enjoyed making that video, and I think you might enjoy watching it. So if you like that and the other content on this channel, do consider subscribing. All right, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.